Yo, what's happening, people? Back again for another stream. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In, and don't forget to smash that like button. So, England's Euro 2024 squad selection. Obviously, the squad's going to be announced in a little while. Obviously, some most notable absentees from the squad. Marcus Rashford won't be included in the England squad. And neither will Jordan Henderson. Marcus Rashford, to be honest, had a poor season, so there's no surprise there. And I think that for sure secures Anthony Gordon's place in the squad. I think you've seen a bit of a fall from the top from Rashford. For me, Rashford has he needs to have a hard look at himself in the summer and kind of get his career back on track, I would say. You know, he's gone from player of the season at Man United. He's gone from getting a big new contract as well, and now he's been ousted from the England squad. So yeah, he could feel hard done by. Well, to be fair, I wouldn't say feel hard done by. I think he's not really done enough. I think he might feel to himself that he's hard done by because he's been in every squad, but quite simply, he hasn't been good enough. You know, I've done me and Truance, my boy Truance, yesterday done a our potential England squad of players that we feel should be included. So as we're just waiting for the England squad to be announced, we agreed on yesterday, and the full video will come out later on this week if you're interested. And we've gone from a list here, I believe, of 61 players. Bearing in mind there was some players that I did forget to put in as well, but we've gone from the list of goalkeepers, which was Jordan Pickford, Aaron Ramsdale, Sam Johnston, Nick Pope, and James Trafford. So we decided to pick the three keepers that we think will go or Southgate will take. And obviously Jordan Pickford's going to be number one, so there's no surprise there. So he'll definitely be on the plane. And then for the two other keepers, person I did forget to mention was a Dean Henderson, who had a strong end to the season. So I believe it could be Dean Henderson and Nick Pope. I think Nick Pope's just come back from injury, so Nick Pope might have a good chance to stake his claim in the squad. I was going to say Aaron Ramsdale, but Ramsdale hasn't really played, and obviously Pope has been injured. But I think Jordan Pickford will definitely be in there. And the number 2 and 3, I'm going to go for will be Dean Henderson and Nick Pope, which leaves out Trafford, who obviously has been in the squad, I think, but he hasn't obviously made an appearance. I think Johnston's currently injured, and Aaron Ramsdale's been inactive, as well as Pope, who's been injured. So it could be a toss-up, I believe, between Pope and Ramsdale, and I think Pope might just get it, but we'll have to wait and see. So we agreed on Pickford, Pope, and Henderson. So then we moved on to defenders. So the list consisted of a few outsiders in there. And obviously there's a few that I didn't mention, which I've actually forgot to include, who might actually be in the actual squad. So the list comprised of Carl Walker, Harry Maguire, John Stones, Mark Guehi, Kieran Trippier, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James, Tino Livramento, Levi Colwill, Trevor Chalobah, Luke Shaw, Ben Chilwell, Ezri Konsa, Jared Braithwaite, Tyreek Mitchell, Fikayo Tomori, Rico Lewis, Ben White, and then two outsiders in Max Kilman and Lloyd Kelly. So we picked 2 right backs, 2 left backs, and then 4 centre backs. It was more of a case of players that we feel being fit, we would like to go. So I think the right backs for me, obviously bearing in mind if they are both fit, would be Reece James and Kyle Walker. Reece James obviously won't be going because he's not fit, which means that Kyle Walker will definitely go as the right back, and I believe it'll be Kieran Trippier that will actually go, purely because Trippier can play left back as well, and he'll give that added incentive of cover as well. Tino Livramento would have a good chance, but I think Trippier's experience and the fact that Livramento hasn't played for England yet, I can't see him getting picked. So the fact that Reece James is injured, I can see Kieran Trippier being given a nod. But then you've got Trent, because I don't know if Southgate's going to use Trent in midfield. So that's a big question mark there, because if you're picking two right backs, I think in tournament football, you need two right backs that are both competent defensively and offensively. And I think Trippier and Walker offer that more than what Trent would. But then we've got fullbacks. So left back's going to be the hardest one, because you've got Luke Shaw, who's rumoured to be going, but Luke Shaw's obviously been injured for the majority part of the season. For me, Ben Chilwell, I don't think is good enough, but he's obviously a naturally left-sided fullback. And then you've got Tyreek Mitchell, who I think is an outsider, but I believe should be given a chance. But I believe he's going to go for Luke. I think Luke Shaw might find his way in the squad, and then it depends, because Trippier is definitely going to go, because Trippier can play left back, so he's a certainty. But it depends if Southgate is going to take another left-footed left back, or go for a right-footed player that can play a left back as well. But we went for Walker and James, obviously bearing in mind everyone's fit. And then the left backs was Shaw and Tyreek Mitchell. And then centre backs, no brainer with John Stones. Hasn't really played as much lately, but he's a shoo-in to go. And then we decided on, Harry Maguire is going to go, but we decided on Ezri Konsa, Jared Braithwaite as a left-footed centre back. And then Fikayo Tomori. And I think Tomori should be starting at the back with John Stones, but we know Maguire's going to start. And then, there's honourable mentions for Rico Lewis, who's not going to go, so still relatively inexperienced as well. Kilman and Kelly, but purely because they're left-footed centre-backs. Ben White, who's arguably been one of the best right-backs in the league this season. Obviously, he's had a falling out with Southgate, so he won't be on the plane. And then Levi Colwell just returned from injury, another left-footed centre-back. And Trevor Chalobah, who's been playing regularly lately for Chelsea. Again, another outsider. And then you've got Mark Guehi, who could have a chance to go, but I believe Guehi will be up against, I believe, Ezri Konsa for a place in the squad. But as I said, it's going to be very interesting to see what Southgate does, because there's a few players that are definite. There's a few players that are definite to go, i.e., Walker, Maguire, Stones are all definitely going, and I think Trippier as well because of his versatility. But some of the other players I believe should be going, but he might have a difference there, And obviously you've got Lewis Dunk, who I didn't mention, who I forgot, but he's going to be a shoo-in probably to be in the squad as well. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Southgate kind of does there. Just moving on, and then we're going to go through the midfielders. So again, certainties in that midfield area. Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham will definitely be on the plane. As do, I think, will be Conor Gallagher as well, purely because the fact that Henderson's not in the squad, I think Gallagher's probably more of a natural replacement for him in terms of the legs that he offers in midfield. For me, Kobbie Mainoo is there all day long. I wouldn't mind seeing Kobbie get a rest from the tournament. and making him fresh for United next season. But I think such as his emergence, I think he'd probably be on the plane, and rightfully so for the season that he's had. And then I've gone for a few outsiders. And I've actually found out that he's actually been included in the training squad, which was Adam Walton. I think Adam Walton's a very good player. Me personally, I'd like to see Adam Walton go. Whether he's in the final squad remains to be seen, because there's other players, obviously, that have been capped that might be ahead. But I think he's a very good player. Morgan Gibbs-White, another one who hasn't been in the squad yet, but I think he's got a lot to offer. And I think he's someone that can find himself a bit hard done by if he's not included in the squad. And then I've gone for Harvey Elliott as well. Curtis Jones, just like Walton, has been called up as well to the training squad. And I've gone for someone like a Lewis Cook at Bournemouth, who I think's been overlooked. I think he's a very good player, Lewis Cook, formerly of Leeds United, now plays for Bournemouth in the heart of their midfield. I think he's a very good player. And then you've got youngsters, a young one called Alex Scott as well, who won't be included, but just an honorable mention. And I've gone for Ross Barkley. I think Barkley should be in the squad, no doubt. Obviously, he has a few England caps already. But I think Barkley's had a very good season. And I think he should be included in the quartet of that midfield, as he offers something different to what a lot of them midfielders offer as well. You know, he's comfortable off both feet. You know, he's fairly strong as well. Good passing range, good shot on him. You know, can take the ball under pressure, which is what England are going to need to be doing. So for me, I'd go for someone like Ross Barkley. Whether that happens remains to be seen. But we agreed on players that he's going to take and players that we would like to see be taken. So we've gone for, obviously, Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, I think Conor Gallagher and Kobbie Mainoo. I think them four will definitely be on the plane. And then we was looking at Barkley. So I think we went for 5 midfielders, which was Barkley and Harvey Elliott. I think was looking at. I think the likes of Calvin Phillips and Henderson's obviously been ruled out as well, so he's not going. But I think Calvin Phillips won't be on there either. And then we've got James Maddison and James Ward-Prowse. For me, I think Maddison will be in the squad. Hasn't had a great end to the season, but I think Maddison might be a tricky one, purely because there's a few players that can play in his position and out wide that have performed better than him towards the end of the season. So he might have a tricky one of getting into that squad, the main squad, but we'll wait and see. And then James Ward-Prowse hasn't been in the latest squads. Obviously, free kick specialist, corner specialist, but won't be on the plane. It hasn't been in previous squads. And again, I think there's players that are probably ahead of him. So he's someone that can probably find himself hard done by over the previous squads. But yeah, I don't see him breaking through. So yeah, from that midfield, Rice, Bellingham, Gallagher, Mainoo. And then I think one more from that list will probably be between I'd say, you know what, I'll stick with the 4 because I think them 4 will definitely be there. Rice, Bellingham, Gallagher, Mainoo. The other players on there, it's touch and go really. I don't know. I think the only one that's really, I think Jones and Walton have been confirmed in the training squad. The others, Harvey Elliott, Cook, Scott, Ward-Prowse, Barkley. Maddison's more in the attacking phase, who I've mentioned. Gibbs-White as well, I don't think will be going, and Walton is touch and go. So yeah, have to wait and see for that one. And then we go to the wire players and what we discussed yesterday. So Phil Foden's definitely on the plane, just like with Bukayo Saka and Cole Palmer. And then we've got a few other players. I think Anthony Gordon definitely goes as well for the seasons that he's had for Newcastle. I think he's I think he's one of only 3 players that has double figures for assists and goals. So I think he'll definitely be on the play on that left-hand side. So yeah, Foden, Gordon, Saka, we agreed on. Will be definitely be part of the squad. And then you've got players like and Cole Palmer obviously as well. For me, Eze is a definite to be on that plane. For me, I'll start Eze. Whether you play Eze from the left or in the 10, for me, Eze's that good. He's every bit as good as the other players that we've mentioned, in my opinion. I think he's got something different. So I think he'll definitely be on the plane. So we agreed with Foden, Eze, Saka, and Palmer for definite. And then Gordon. And then you've got other outsiders that I've mentioned in Raheem Sterling, Noni Madueke, Jared Bowen, Anton Semenyo, who's had a good season at Bournemouth, Dwight McNeil at Everton, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Harvey Barnes, Jack Grealish, who I'll take all day long, but hasn't played lately. So again, has to have to wait and see what Southgate has in store for that. And then Marcus Rashford, who's obviously been confirmed that he's not going to be named in the squad. So yeah, it's interesting. I think out of that list of Sterling, Madueke, Bowen, Semenyo, McNeil, Hudson-Odoi, Harvey Barnes, if you're taking one of them players, you probably might lean more towards Sterling because of his experience. Madueke is an outside chance, and when you've already got Foden and Cole Palmer and Bukayo Saka, who are left-footed players that can play out on the right, he hasn't really got a chance to get into that squad there. The same with Jared Bowen. Hasn't really got a chance to get in the squad with them players there I've mentioned. Anton Semenyo is a left field one because Rashford's not going, but I think Semenyo could offer something. Unlikely for him to be going, if I'm honest. And then the same with Dwight McNeil and Hudson-Odoi. I think Hudson-Odoi has had a good ending to the season, but I think when you've got players like Eze who can play from the left, Anthony Gordon obviously will be going as well. Grealish, in my opinion, should be going. It's going to be tough for Hudson-Odoi to become that other player. And also Maddison, if he is in the squad, can play from the left as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And then we go to the strikers. So obviously Harry Kane's the captain, so there's no point discussing that there. And I believe Southgate will take 3 strikers. And we agreed on Harry Kane, Ivan Toney, and Ollie Watkins. I think Dominic Solanke can find himself very hard done by to not be going. But I think because, Kane's a shoo-in because he's the captain anyway. I would bring Ivan Toney for definite because Ivan Toney, out of all 5 of them, is the best target man striker and brings something a bit different. And then you've got Ollie Watkins, who can run the channels running behind. And Ollie Watkins was from a striker's point of view, I believe he was the top scoring Englishman in the league. So he has a case to be going as well. And then obviously I've got other mentions of who won't be going. I've just mentioned the names Eddie Nketiah, who won't be on the plane, but has been in the squad previously. Same with Callum Wilson. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin at one time was second to Harry Kane, but he's now been overtaken, obviously due to injuries as well, by Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, and Dominic Solanke, in my opinion. So I think from that list, we've kind of agreed on Pickford. So starting from goalkeepers, Pickford, Pope, and Henderson. Carl Walker, Harry Maguire, John Stones, Kieran Trippier. I'm going to say Trent as well, because I think he might be, depends what he's going to do with Trent. He plays in midfield. Possibly Luke Shaw. And then I think from the list here, I think you're looking at either between, I think it's going to be between Tomori For me, I think Tomori should go, but it might be between Konza, Guehi, and Brantford. I think it might be between if he takes four centre backs, because Carl Walker can play as a centre back as well if they go through at the back. So I think he might be between Konza, Guehi, and Brantford for that fourth spot. I think Tomori will be on the plane. Yeah, and then from the midfield, obviously it's going to be Rice, Bellingham, and I think Gallagher's a definite as well to be in the squad. Kobe Minu, I think, will be there, and then I think from this list we said I think it could be a James Maddison. I'd like to see Adam Walton in there, but not sure yet. And then the wide players, we've gone for Foden, Grealish, Gordon, Palmer, Eze, Saka as the wide players. And then we've got Harry Kane, Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And then I'm going to say Walton, 26. So that's a 26-man squad that we think that could be on the plane. I'd say it could be some changes, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, so that's the list that we kind of comprised. But yeah, it's all about just waiting for the actual announcement to see. What do I think of England's chances in the Euros? So I believe they'll get out the group. The group consists of, I believe so you got Serbia, Denmark, and Slovenia. You'd expect England. I think England's toughest game in that group. In actual fact, I think England will have 2 tough games in that group against Serbia and Denmark, I believe. I think, obviously, Serbia, notoriously in tournaments, they actually do quite well in tournaments. So I think you should expect England to get a result there. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if between the Serbia and Denmark game, it's a draw. I think, obviously, Serbia got Alexander Mitrovic as their striker. They've got a few Sergej Milinkovic-Savic in that midfield as well. Dusan Tadic will be there as well. He's creative. Who else they got? I think they got Nastasic, who's a former Man City player at the back. So yeah, they've got a few players, ex-Premiership players, that will cause problems. But you probably expect England to kind of overcome them in the end. But it won't be an easy game for sure. And then you've got Denmark, Christian Eriksen, obviously Rasmus Højlund from Man United. You've got Poulsen, who's a striker that plays for RB Leipzig. Andreas Christensen from Barcelona as well. So yeah, Denmark have got some good players there that will cause a problem. And then you've got Slovenia. Obviously, their most notable player is Jan Oblak in goal from Atletico Madrid. But they've got Benjamin Sesko, who's plays for RB Leipzig, who's highly sought after. But yeah, you'd expect England to get out the group. For me, if England meet a Spain, a France, a Germany, possibly a Portugal, I think if they happen to meet any of them 4 teams in either the round of 6, in the quarterfinals, I believe that's where England's limit is. I don't believe they can overcome them teams if they hit a quarterfinal, in my opinion. I think those teams, in terms of ball retention and mentality, I think them teams will overcome England if England was to make it to the quarterfinals and meet either one of them 4 teams. if they can avoid one of them four teams and get to the semi-final or the final, then it's anyone's chance really. But obviously, this is England's strongest group of players they've had. But my predictions are, yeah, they have to avoid one of them teams. Obviously, you'll be on Harry Kane to lead the team to the final. I think for me, Harry Kane is a as a footballer, is a top footballer. But as I said before about Harry Kane, when it comes to the crucial stages in terms of Champions League, the Euros, the World Cup, when he hits the semi-finals or the final, Harry Kane invariably never turns up. So this will be his chance. I think this will be his main chance to kind of take England to a final, and hopefully, if they think they can win it, because as I said, I think, yeah, we know about Harry Kane's goals. You know, we know he's a goal machine, and he's a very good footballer. But against the very best, he, as I said to you before, he very rarely turns it on against the very best. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think England's chances, you know, if they can avoid one of them four teams that I mentioned, they could have a good chance of getting to the final. But yeah, it remains to be seen. So yeah, that's my take on the England squad for Euro 2024. If you guys got any other players you think that should be included, drop that in the chat. Put your comments in, and then we'll just have to wait until the England squad selection. I'll be doing a reaction to the England squad selection a bit later today, most probably, or tomorrow. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But looking forward to it. I think it's only about 20 plus days until the Euros start. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that, and we'll wait and see what happens. You know what I mean? But yeah, hope you guys like the stream. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In, and don't forget to smash that like button. Helps with the algorithms, and I'll catch you guys back in literally in about 20 minutes. Yeah, about 25 minutes for the France's Euro 2024 squad. And yeah, we'll see how that breaks down and see what France's chances are. Obviously, a certain Kylian Mbappe. We want to be leading his country to more glory, and I'll be breaking that down to see how their squad shapes up. Catch you guys in a bit.